Attention GovGuam employees and retirees. Open enrollment is extended to October 10th. There's still time to choose Take Care and keep money in your pocket. Lower copays at preferred in-network providers. A payroll deduction as low as $2.04 bi-weekly. To avoid enrollment and payroll processing delays, enroll as soon as possible. Learn more at takecareasia.com/GovGuam2023 or call 671-647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Many accolades and celebration.
Good morning, Marianas, and welcome to this new week. Welcome to our offices in Hagåtña, Guam. I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Danielle Baza.
It is 7:15 a.m. on this Monday, the 3rd of October, 2022, the first day of the new fiscal year 2023 in Guam and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. When we come back from the series of ads from our sponsors, both commercial and political.
Nice.
Mainly political. It's that season. And we love them all for advertising with us. Thank you very much to all of our sponsors. When we come back, we will bring you news about
Nicholas.
the big switch in insurance from Select Care to Take Care. And now there's only 1 week left. News from the Commonwealth government about a budget, a government shutdown that was averted over the weekend. And then in the second half of our show, we're going to talk about the Nicholas Moore trial and the water problems that our island is facing that I'm still very upset with when we come back. Stick with us.
Attention GovGuam employees and retirees. Open enrollment is extended to October 10th. There's still time to choose Take Care and keep money in your pocket. Lower copays at preferred in-network providers. A payroll deduction as low as $2.04 bi-weekly. To avoid enrollment and payroll processing delays, enroll as soon as possible. Learn more at takecareasia.com/GovGuam2023 or call 671-647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
We have to all work together because we do need to deter crime. We do need to decrease crime.
There's a lot of news coming out, rape cases, children. It's so hard to believe.
I'm Felix Camacho, and I approve this message.
Tom Fisher was a Peace Corps volunteer and an educator in the jungles of Central Africa. He went from educating children in impoverished nations to serving our nation in the United States Navy. Tom's legal expertise took him from the military courtroom as a judge advocate general to the courts of Guam, where he has spent 3 decades representing our Manumco and our less fortunate. Tom Fisher knows the law. He'll be a great lawmaker. Let's vote Attorney Thomas Fisher for Senator.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Right now, we are seeing a rise in energy prices. We feel it at the pump, at the store, or each time we get our CUC bill. This is causing everyone to make difficult choices. Businesses are having to increase prices or reduce hours. Families are having to choose between keeping the aircon on or putting food on the table. Lieutenant Governor Arnold and Mayor Dave's commitment to our Commonwealth is demonstrated through their 30-plus years of public service. Their experiences have allowed them the opportunity to personally interact with our community during their most difficult moments, and for that, they have a better understanding of the needs of our people. The CNMI needs leaders that will promote policies that create jobs, grow paychecks, and improve the economic security of the CNMI businesses and families. We hear you, Marianas. It's time to get this government back in order. This election, please vote Arnold and Dave.
I am Vera Charlotte Mendiola, and I am voting for Joe.
I am Danny Blas. I am voting for Joe.
I am Sarah Babasa Charlotte Taitano, and I am voting for Joe.
My name is John Ray Taitano, and I'm voting for Joe.
I am Emily Caceres, and I'm voting for Joe.
Ako po si Junel Ombero. Iboto po natin si Joe.
My name is Anthony James Pasio Wolford, and I am voting for Joe.
I am Edith Blas, and I'm voting for Joe.
I'm Richard Santa Nicholas, and I'm voting for Joe.
Everything the right way.
Welcome back. GovGuam employees and retirees have only 1 week left to make a big shopping decision that will be the difference between thousands of dollars in savings or spending this fiscal year. The decision is over the same exact products that two different stores are offering. And one store is charging up to 500% more for the exact same thing. Employees and retirees who want health insurance have until next Monday, October 10, to choose between Take Care and Select Care, with Take Care offering far less expensive premiums in every category of insurance packages. Employees and retirees have complained about the process of switching from Select Care to Take Care, and the governor's office still has not responded to Kandit's inquiry about the cumbersome process. Despite the hurdles, it appears people are making the switch in droves. If you continue as a Select Care subscriber, expect larger deductions from your paycheck beginning October 14.
The Commonwealth government averted a partial shutdown when the legislature passed a near-midnight budget Friday, and Governor Ralph Torres signed it into law on the first day of the fiscal year Saturday. A budget impasse between the House and the Torres-controlled Senate began last week over the Torres administration and the Hofschneider Senate refusing to fund $13 million in supplemental appropriations for retiree pensions and the government's Medicaid match. The House immediately rejected the Senate proposal, and Speaker Edmund Villagomez convened a conference committee for the two houses of the legislature to compromise. Those compromises happened late Friday.
The governor and his supporters in the Senate seemed to have held retiree payments hostage in the budget negotiations in exchange for one concession, pay raises for the governor's cabinet. As Kandit previously reported, Governor Torres had attempted to give the biggest political supporters in the government 5-digit annual salary increases. The House, however, held its ground against the Senate and Mr. Torres.
The governor, in his message to the legislature informing them he had signed the budget, also informed them of his several lined item vetoes. Among them, a restriction the House wanted to place on the mayors that would require proper procurement on the payment of outstanding vendor payables. The governor also vetoed sections that would have slowed his pace of political hiring, required status reports of funds the executive agencies suspend, and other provisions that would have increased fiscal accountability and transparency in the Commonwealth government. Check Kandit later today for a full report.
When we come back, we'll bring you the latest in the Nicholas Moore trial, Guam's water problems, and increasing violence on the island. Stick with us.
Attention GovGuam employees and retirees. Open enrollment is extended to October 10th. There's still time to choose Take Care and keep money in your pocket. Lower copays at preferred in-network providers. A payroll deduction as low as $2.04 bi-weekly. To avoid enrollment and payroll processing delays, enroll as soon as possible. Learn more at takecareasia.com/GovGuam2023 or call 671-647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Tom Fisher was a Peace Corps volunteer and an educator in the jungles of Central Africa. He went from educating children in impoverished nations to serving our nation in the United States Navy. Tom's legal expertise took him from the military courtroom as a judge advocate general to the courts of Guam, where he has spent 3 decades representing our Manumco and our less fortunate. Tom Fisher knows the law. He'll be a great lawmaker. Let's vote Attorney Thomas Fisher for Senator.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Bottom line is we're gonna make you a better person. You're gonna be healthier and fitter than you were before.
I hate that you videotaped me dancing when I was drunk at Party's
Did
place.
you see me? I was like, oh, Zach.
I mean, thank goodness you're a worse dancer than I am. How was your weekend?
It was great.
Did you go to Party's place?
No, but hello, we that party that we went Saturday, Vanessa, happy birthday, Jess and Isa.
Happy birthday, Jesse and Isa. We love you.
We murdered those leftovers last night, and then Darian can play basketball, so I bought him a basketball.
Oh yeah,
we learned
he lost a lot of weight already, right?
I know. He was like, "Mom, I lost 2 pounds."
He's too skinny.
No, he's not.
Start feeding him again.
Bro, if Grandma Claire watches this.
And call CPS. Grandma Claire, I'll call CPS for you. Don't worry, I got you, girl. I got you. Just underfeeding him.
No. Bro, it's important.
I can't see his cheeks anymore.
We're regulating.
So also over the weekend, I think it was Friday, that documents were filed in the Superior Court of Guam that advanced the Nicholas Moore case. So last week we brought you the story about how the prosecution wants to limit Attorney David Lujan's cross-examination of the prosecution's key witness, a guy named Eric Salone. Eric Salone was in the truck that Nicholas Moore was driving the evening of October 15, 2020. And it was from that truck that a gunshot allegedly rang or came from. As a consequence of that, allegedly, a bullet fragment entered the leg of Brian Mendiola that night, The bullet fragment turned out to be a .38 caliber pistol, etc., etc. The only person who has admitted to actually shooting is Eric Salone. Eric Salone was the original co-defendant in the case. Attorney General Levin Camacho entered into a plea deal with Eric Salone, exchanging his freedom for his testimony against Nicholas Moore. In the prosecution's motion last week, it was just an almost unprecedented admission by the prosecution that the defense had impeached the credibility of Eric Salone, admitted that he lied to investigators. There were just so many admissions that are just not good for the prosecution's case in chief. And so, if you're on the jury, you might see not just the reasonable doubt. You might see, and this is what defense counsel appears to be trying to portray to not just the jury but to the public, that Nicholas Moore is not just innocent, but that the prosecution is letting the wrong man go free in this case. And so the prosecution wants to end David Lujan's cross-examination of Eric Salone in the interest of advancing justice and preventing undue delay and harassment of the witness. I mean, if you see David Lujan in action, I would... This guy has been winning criminal defense trials for decades, and the media doesn't properly portray what actually is happening in court, because it's not like it's cool, or KOM and PNC, they don't have all of the time to show an entire trial, and neither do we. Honestly, we don't have the time to film an entire trial. But I think you would be doing yourself some justice if you go and watch David Lujan in action. I mean, there's just no other attorney on this island like him. Yeah, Eric's right. I don't know if Eric's microphone is on, but David Lujan not only is he's a very entertaining man, and he's charming to the jury. He appears very at first smart as just this stumbly person who maybe the jury starts to think, what's this old man doing, right? But then he just turns it. And in his cross-examination of Eric Salone, you see it. You see that it's not just reasonable doubt that he's looking for. It's not even just proving Nicholas Moore's innocence in this case that he's looking for. He's looking, I think, to tell the people of Guam that the Attorney General's office is wrong, got the wrong guy. And so there was, so we reported that last week, and then, I think it was early last week, and then later in the week, at the end of the week, the defense, William Gavris, who is a co-attorney in this case, he filed a motion in opposition to the government's motion and said, look, there's still more that we have to prove. He says, we're still going to show more video clips, and the video clips that he's talking about are video clips of Eric Salone's interrogation by Agent Craig Perry from NCIS. By the way, Eric Salone is in the U.S. Navy. That's why he was being interviewed by NCIS agents. And these video clips, at least the ones that have already been shown in court, show Eric Salone lying to the interrogators. And the lies, the reason we're able to say that is because it's his testimony in open court is different from what he's told investigators. And so, and also David Lujan was able to get it out of Eric Salone that he had lied, that, isn't it true, sir, that you're a liar? And Eric Salone says, no, sir. And then David Lujan says, well, isn't it true that what you said to Agent Perry here is not what you're saying today? And Eric Salone has no choice but to say, yes, sir, you're right. And so, it's, David Lujan's good. And I feel bad for Eric Salone.
I don't, if you're going to be such a liar about it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. You
no,
got what
no,
allegedly.
I feel bad when I see people suffering.
I know.
And the witness, Eric Salone, he is suffering on that stand. That's just the thing about going to court. Mm-hmm. And our criminal justice system. When you take your case to trial, more often than not, the truth comes out. Yeah. And that's the whole purpose of a trial. And the rules of evidence and all of that stuff is that, It's to yield the truth. Yeah. And we're seeing that on full display. Now, Defense Counsel William Gavra says, we're not done. We have more video clips to play. And there are more elements of the plea agreement that we want to bring to light to the jury. It's a sweetheart deal that Eric Salone got. He is not going to spend any time in jail as this plea agreement is in place. And after he meets certain conditions, all the charges dropped against him.
And then he's not dishonorably discharged or whatever, right?
There was a in the prosecution's motion last week that was stated that there is the good possibility that he will not receive a dishonorable discharge from the U.S. military. Yes, that is one of the things. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Wow.
And so the people, that's the prosecution, they replied to the opposition motion, and they're like, well, you didn't say what the videos are, and you're not saying what parts of the plea agreement it is, so that's a fatal flaw in your argument, and therefore, Judge, you should deny or you should not follow the opposition motion. And there's a reminder in the end in bold underline that I thought was really funny. The undersigned also reminds the court that he leaves for vacation on October 7, 2022. And the last day that he is available for trial is on October 6, 2022. If I were the judge, the court is the judge. That's what the court means. It's the judge. If I were the judge, I'd be like, hey, right? Why are you telling my business to everybody? I also feel bad for the prosecutor in the case, Grant Olin.
I know, because he just received it after all the stumbles.
He inherited this case, like on the week of the trial, and
like here, hot potato.
He's trying. He was honest though. That's what you can appreciate about this guy. He was honest in the motion that he filed last week about how the defense was doing and the problems that Eric Salone in his contradicting testimonies and interrogations has brought to the case. I don't know where they go from here. I have no idea. But maybe I'm missing something. You know, I'm not a lawyer. I've never been a prosecutor or a defense counsel. I've never even served on a jury. No one will let me, even though I want to.
You're not giving them the right answers.
I'm telling the truth. They asked me. That's true. They asked me during the voir dire or whatever it's called. You know, like what
Wait, what was the question?
At first, when I worked at the governor's office, I could never be on a jury because I worked at the governor's office.
Okay.
Or I was an executive in the governor's office, and then after, like, I got called for jury service. After that, I guess everybody knew about my drug use, and of course, one of the questions, it was a drug trial. And of course, one of the questions was, what are your thoughts on drug use and punishing people for drug? And I was honest.
What was?
What? Can you speak into your microphone, please? Is this microphone on? Why would you? So you were saying you would make a bad juror? Why?
5 minutes in.
I would be a defense counsel's dream juror.
Unless, of course, it was a Dave Lujan trial.
Then you would not be sleeping in a Dave Lujan trial. I would be a defense counsel's dream juror and a prosecutor's worst nightmare as a juror, because this is my entire line of thinking. Is very, very, very similar to like my grandparents. There are certain things that I wouldn't tolerate, right? So if it was a rape case, I'd be like, oh, guilty.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a mustache and you're being accused of rape? You're guilty.
Look at that.
Sorry.
Pedo.
You're a pedophile. Oh, you have long hair? Yeah, and the bald spot here?
Yeah.
And you're accused of rape? Oh, guilty. Oh, no, I don't need to hear the evidence. I already know. Do we have the death penalty? But robbery, drug possession, murder, attempted murder. I'm be like, he just made a mistake.
Yes.
God will forget. Let God judge.
Yes.
Give him a chance. That's the kind of juror I'll be.
Did you see it though? Did you? Like, are you sure? Who else is there? That's a liar.
I'm just telling you.
He's lying.
I'm just telling you that's the kind of juror I'd be. Now, I am less forgiving about bad government services.
That water, boy.
Did you see my rant on Saturday? So on Friday.
Oh, yes, I did at Vanessa's. Yes, I did.
Friday at 4:30 in the morning, I woke up. Woke up late. 4:30 in the morning. And I drank my water. First thing I do, drink cold water to get the metabolism going because I'm fat.
And your vinegar?
Took my, no, I ran out of the apple cider vinegar. I took my vitamin D and zinc. I took my creatine for the morning. As that was happening, I had my coffee in the French press. You know, because you have to wait before you press it.
I don't know if it's the light, but it's like your eyes are just sparkling with like...
Oh, because I'm angry.
Yeah.
Because I'm angry.
It is. It's doing that thing.
And I poured my coffee after I took all my vitamins, and I took a sip. And once I take that sip of coffee, the day has begun. There's no turning back. And so then I go to the restroom to start shaving, because I shave first, then I brush my teeth, then I go into the shower, and the water doesn't turn on. And I'm looking at my phone to see if there was an emergency water outage.
At least a warning.
No, I signed up for the text messages, and there was nothing. I'm like, what is going on? Because, you know, this isn't about paying the water bill. There's something going on here. So at 5:30 in the morning, I get the text, emergency water outage. It's going to last until 3 p.m. 3 p.m. So, you know, before this is happening, I'm like, everybody, I cannot come in. I can't shower. And I can't brush my teeth. I'm not coming in. And we have to figure out what to do about the show because I have to write the news, right? And so I was like, okay, this is a compromise. Danielle and Johnny, you can anchor this morning. I'll come in and I'll write it, but stay away from me. Don't come close to me.
He was like,
Don't
oh, shut up.
And I looked horrible.
Mad.
I don't look like this when I wake up, okay? And so the day progresses. I go home right after this whole morning thing. I go home. The day progresses, and we get another message that says that the water outage is extended until 10 p.m. And I was like, and I just did not feel good. I did not smell good, nothing. It was just, there was the crud on my teeth, you know, when you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Ugh. And then I wait for 10 p.m. because I need to cook pot roast for the party the next day. And the water's still not on. So I go to sleep.
Oh.
Oh, so gross.
Sorry.
I go to sleep.
Told you come over.
No, I wouldn't want to be around anybody. There was no way I was going to be around anybody.
You're such a girl. I don't know. I just 5 minutes and I'm done.
I have a whole process. Anyway,
you do.
This whole issue with how are we in the 21st century and we don't have running water? And yes, you know, people will say, oh, it's just here and there. No, it's every single day. There is a pocket of this island that doesn't have running water because our systems are so corrupt by the environment, because they're so old, because the Guam Water Works Authority has allowed it to be in disrepair. Lee Weber wrote an article last week that I completely agree with. He says, how are we in the 21st century and we still have these problems? And it's because it's not just water, it's everything else that there are still these problems. But the Ukraine has running water, and they're in the middle of a war. Mm-hmm. And they have running water every day. The people of the Philippines just went through a typhoon, a super typhoon. They have running water. And some would call it a third world country. We are part of a first world nation, the greatest nation in the world, and we get lots of money from it. And to this day, we have running water issues. Do you know how embarrassing that is? It is not just uncomfortable as people who have to experience it. It's not just something that is debilitating toward our progress as families, because I couldn't go to work on Friday. Mm-hmm. You know, what a whole day where I could have added value to this community that it didn't happen because it didn't have running water. Yeah. How are we supposed to be okay with that? So Lee Weber writes this article. He says, you know, elected officials are to blame for these years and years and years of problems. And some people they criticize and they said, it's not all elected officials. It's just the CCU. No, it's not. It's all elected officials, especially the Guam legislature, especially the governor who has access to all of these federal funds. But over the years, especially the Guam legislature, because the CCU is a creation of the Guam legislature, because the Guam legislature and only the Guam legislature has the power to privatize GWA. Why hasn't that been done? Why do we still own the only public water agency in the nation? How is it that we're okay with the government of Guam, which is the worst manager of resources in the world?
Agreed.
Now, that's hyperbole, but it is far worse at managing anything than anyone in the private sector could. Why are they still managing our water and our power? Why do we still have a public hospital when we know, just by looking at GRMC,
I know
that a privately run hospital would be far superior for the people, especially for the poor, than a publicly owned hospital? This was my rant on Saturday.
Yeah, I remember.
Why is it that we spend so much time in the government of Guam doing things half-assedly when we could be doing important things with a commitment to excellence? For instance, using taxpayer dollars to give teachers massive pay raises that are commensurate with what we believe is the value of education. Because if education is number one, then teachers should be the most highly paid employees of the government of Guam.
Yeah.
Period. Dot. Did I say that right?
Period.
No, some people do the period dot.
On period or something. I don't know what they say anymore. But you know what was really super retarded was when I took
Oh my God,
Kimmy-
you cannot say that word.
What?
Because that's...
okay, fine. I redact that.
You can say that in private, but not on the air.
The most irritating thing was taking Kimmy, thinking that she's gotten her written test at DMV. She scheduled this online, right? So she goes in, and I take her to DMV for the written test, and they say, "Oh no, we scheduled you to schedule you for your written test."
What the hell?
What in the? Oh, I was like,
Maybe you can use that word now. Maybe it is appropriate.
Am I taking you to DMV for the written test? You know, isn't it usually at UOG, right? She's like, no, it says here. I'm supposed to come here for my written test. Then we get there. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm not taking my written test today. She studied all night with Grandma Claire. I'm not taking it. I'm scheduling to schedule.
Oh, this is when you were pissed off because you had to go and pick her up.
Super. Oh my God.
There's your government of Guam at work.
Woo.
There are things that the government needs to do because no one else will do it, like providing law enforcement, the enforcement of laws, the just and equal protection of the laws. You know, we can't even do that right. Honestly, the first order of government, the protection of the people and business, cannot do it right. Not enough resources, a weak attorney general who spends all of his time trying to get us into class action suits.
Whose biggest regret is not making a Facebook account.
That's Stephen Camacho's biggest regret?
That's what, yes.
Get out of town. He doesn't care about the murdered people?
For the last 4 years, that is his biggest regret.
His biggest regret isn't all the children and women who've been raped during his 4 years in office?
No, bro, because social media matters more.
Oh my gosh.
People want to see.
Look at where the priorities of our officials are. And then look at the problems that we have in getting services for our families. Services that we pay for.
Chasing our tails.
So far removed from reality. Excellent point. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And this was a perfect segue to violent crime. Thank you for making that segue. As the Attorney General, Stephen Camacho, is all over the place, as my paperwork is all over the place. Here's a snapshot. I asked Danielle and I've never read these before. I just asked Danielle, I said, can you please just, out of all of the magistrate's reports last week, and there's a ton of violent crimes, just choose 5. Just give me 5, whatever. And here's a snapshot of crime last week, or allegations of crime last week. And, you know, there is a guy named Jenry Raymond.
That's a girl.
Oh, a woman named Jenry Raymond, this is the one who allegedly tried to stab her mother.
But she missed her and she got her phone.
On the last day of the fiscal year, Jenry Raymond was accused of trying to stab her mother, and the mother might be dead if she didn't miss. Was she allegedly drunk?
I think so.
Using a kitchen knife. Very good. Very good, Guam. That was the last day of the fiscal year that happened. A couple days before that, Matthew Santos allegedly beat up his girlfriend, right? How about the child?
That one's Vandrick Gumabon.
No. So Matthew Santos didn't beat up the 7-year-old?
Oh, no.
Allegedly?
The 7-year-old is the one that told the witness, help me, please, because my dad's beating up my mom.
Oh, this is the one that went to a neighbor or something like that.
Yeah.
Because and said, my dad is beating up my mom. Please help me. The 7-year-old. And Matthew Santos has a 2014 aggravated assault case that he pleaded guilty to.
And he's probably released. We should check.
Very, very good, Guam. On that same day, Jason Cruz Pangilinan was accused of
hitting his dad.
Oh, the dad this time?
Or no, maybe that's the John.
No, threatening to kill his girlfriend and accused of strangling and hitting her and threatening to kill her. This is dime a dozen. Magistrates like this, the family violence stuff.
Yeah.
The men, trying to exert dominance over women. Dime a dozen on this island. And where's the plan to fix it? Where's the Bureau of Women's Affairs, and why do we pay the Bureau of Women's Affairs so much money?
They're gathering funds for Kotex.
Which is important, all right? I get that.
But I thought they already had those funds.
But and kudos to the Bureau of Women's Affairs for having programs like that. But where is the outrage over family violence? Which is part of their enabling statute. They're supposed to be doing something about this. Nothing. Maybe it's because their lackey, the Attorney General, doesn't care about the issue as well. John Joey Villagomez Manglonia early last week. He is accused of family violence. Is this the one about the dad?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, he is he's accused of
punching his dad and saying he deserved it. His dad deserved it.
According to the magistrate's report,
allegedly,
he is quoted as saying, "I think I did, officer, but he deserved it." And then here's this is becoming dime a dozen.
Vandrick
Gumabon is accused of. Is this the
one sticking his little penis into a 6-year-old mouth? Yeah.
That's the allegation. I don't think the allegation says little penis.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a rumor, I guess.
No, it's not. Danielle is just being silly.
Okay, sorry.
So this is what it says. On or about September 27, police responded to sexual assault complaint and met with an adult female reporting that a minor female, known to her as someone born in 2007, was about 14 years old, reported being sexually assaulted. Police interviewed the female, and during the interview, the girl stated that when she was about 6 or 7 years old, a male known to her as Vandrick Gumabon licked her vagina. The girl told police that defendant also put his penis into her mouth and rubbed his penis against her vagina. The girl told police that defendant told her he could not put it in her vagina because it was too small. The girl said that there were times where defendant inserted his fingers into her vagina. Police interviewed defendant, who admitted that he made the girl do sexual acts when she was about 8 or 9 years old and that he tried to penetrate her but could not. He was charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct. That's the highest rape charge that you can get. These are dime a dozen on this island, or becoming dime a dozen.
And then released.
Yeah. And the Attorney General blames the judges for the Attorney General not doing his job is what's going on.
Where is it? Did you hear that rumor that Doug Moylan wants to shut down recovery centers?
No, who said that?
I heard that over the weekend. I was like, that's not true.
That's not what he said.
That is not true at all.
So Doug Moylan admittedly wants to take a harsher stance against drug defendants. And really, I mean, I think that's something that the community relates to. Unfortunately, right? Like, I want to be honest about how I feel about things. Like, the war on drugs is just an utter failure. The more the government does something about it, the worse it gets. And so, I get what people say who are critical of taking a harsher stance. There should be a long-term strategy that deals with the demand and not the supply of drugs. But in the short term, there is just so much violence that is linked to drug abuse and drug trafficking that it's hard to not agree with Doug Moylan, at least in the short term. But I've never heard him say that he wants to shut down. Why would he want to shut down recovery centers?
That is so ridiculous.
That's not true. We can ask him about it. I've never heard him say that though in the debates. I think that's just politics rearing its ugly head. And then you hear Attorney Peter Santos, who's a writing candidate for Attorney General. I think he seems to understand
the problems there.
The long-term solutions, and how it would take a cohesive, comprehensive approach. But if you're concerned about the short term, a lot of people are concerned about the short term. That stance that Doug Moylan wants to take seems to appeal to many people. And I don't think anyone's buying Attorney General Stephen Camacho's
crying?
Not just stance, crying. Exactly, he's crying. Yeah. Anyway.
You can get these these stories and more at kanditnews.com.
And don't forget to make that switch if you don't want to be paying so much in insurance, and you have until October 10, Monday, October 10, to make the switch, but do it now so you're not bogged down by the lengthy process. Now, we ask you to join us in turning our attention to the only weekday talk show of any consequence or importance on Guam, The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 FM on the radio dial, or where we go is on Facebook Live at The Point Guam. You can also go to YouTube Live on The Ray Gibson Show. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Danielle Baza.
Good morning, Marianas.